cosine alpha. Okay, so that's this first term, right? And then what happens with the sine negative beta? Sine negative beta there? That's odd, right? Not odd peculiar, just odd function. And so that's going to be negative sine beta. So I'm going to have a double negative. I can make that a positive, right? So a double negative is a positive. A double positive is never a negative. Is that true?
Yeah.
So sine alpha sine beta. Okay, so what does that say? That says that this is equal to that. Right, so
Oh, okay.
the cosine, the difference is the sum of those products. Right? They're both cosine, cosine, sine, sine. Well, I mean, they're both the same trait function. As with the sine, okay, so how about the sine? Let's talk about the sine. S-I-N-E, sine. Sort of unfortunate homonym, isn't it? Where am I? Okay, I'm here. You're in a balloon. Okay, how about here? All right, so I want the sine of alpha plus beta. Can I get that now? I guess I want in parentheses, right? Alpha plus beta. How can I get the sine from the how can I get it? So I don't have an identity for sine alpha plus beta, but I do have a sine identity for cosine of alpha plus beta. What can I do? I can use the cofunction identity. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to say this is the cosine of the complement, right? So you get the complement as pi over 2 minus alpha plus beta. Ah, we're supposed to make the parentheses fit. Why didn't it? Oh, I guess I have to take all of this and put it in here. There. You cajole Microsoft enough, it will do what you want it to do. Okay, you see why this is? It's just basic idea of the cofunction. The cofunction is a complement sign, right? So the sign of the complement. Same thing with the sign is the complement of the cosine. So they're complements of each other. And so if I take the cosine of the complement, I get the sine. All right, so what can I do with that? Well, I'm just going to rejigger it a little bit, right? So I'm going to say this is, what happens if I do that? Okay, so I get, would you agree with this? No. So I'm now going to go to the other side of that, put in a parenthesis here, put a parenthesis here, and then say, I want to distribute the negative, right? Is that agreeable? Is that the same thing? Yeah, just say pi over 2 minus alpha, group that, and then minus beta, right, because I'm subtracting. So what do we know about the cosine of the difference? We've got an identity for that. So I'm just going to use the cosine of the difference identity to get the sine of the sum identity. All right, so shall I recopy the left side of this? And so that's going to be, what's the cosine of the difference? Well, it's going to be the cosine of pi over 2 minus alpha times the cosine of beta, right? Correct me if I screw this up. Okay, so then cosine of the difference is the sum, right? So I can write plus sine of this same thing, which would be easier for me just to copy this and paste it in there, right? And then sine of beta, right? So far, so good? So I'm just applying the cosine, so I know the cosine of the difference is the cosine times the cosine plus the sine times the sine, right? But we know about the cosine of pi over 2 minus alpha. That's the complement, right? So that's the sine of alpha. So I can rewrite this. I'm going to recopy this whole thing. This, I'm going to write sine, and then I'm just going to take out that. And for this, I'm going to write cosine, and I'm going to take out that. What have I got? Yeah, it's a little funky with the parentheses and whatnot. Some inputs have parentheses, some don't, but that's normal. So yeah, the sine of the sum, that's what we wanted to prove over here when we first started in on this, right? We wanted to prove the sine of the sum is sine alpha cosine beta plus sine beta cosine alpha. And what if I were to change that plus to a minus? Well, the cosine wouldn't change, right? So I'm just going to make this quick here. So if I change this to a minus, as we've seen, the cosine doesn't change. Why is that italic? It's irritating. And then this will change, right? The sine of negative beta is the negative of sine beta. So I'm just going to jump to the chase here and say, there they are. How about tangent? I'm getting tired of typing on there, so I'm going to write it over here. Tangent of sum or tangent of a difference, is there an identity for that? Yes, there is. How do we get it? With some algebra. So tangent of alpha plus beta. What can I do? To get things I already know, right? Is there some maneuver?
That's same. That's alpha plus beta.
Well, tangent is sine, is this what you said? I can't quite hear you. This is what you said, right? So tangent is sine over cosine, right? So, and we know what sine of the sum is, we know what sine of the cosine is, so let's just expand these. And you've already memorized these. It's sine alpha, cosine beta, plus, what do we care? Cosine alpha, sine beta. And then this is cosine alpha, cosine beta, plus minus, right? Because it's cosine. Sine alpha, sine beta. Oh, well that looks like a god-awful mess. Plus we'd like to write it in terms of tangent, right? So here's the trick. Take this, right, and divide each term in the numerator and denominator by that, right? So we can do that. So I can say, it's the same thing. So I'll write it over here because I don't want to have to rewrite all that. I'm going to say I'm dividing by 1 in the form of cosine alpha, cosine beta divided by itself. All right, dividing by 1 is kind of like multiplying by 1. It doesn't change things, right? But if I divide the numerator by that numerator, I'm going to get sine alpha, cosine beta over cosine alpha, cosine beta, plus cosine alpha, sine, I'm taking the numerator and dividing each term in the numerator by that thing, right? Cosine beta, and then in the denominator, this is gonna be 1, because I'm dividing this thing by itself, right? And what's the other thing gonna be? Minus sine alpha, sine beta, over cosine alpha. Can I write things in terms of tangent now? Well, first of all, I can cancel that, I can cancel that, right? What's left upstairs? Tangent alpha plus tangent beta, right? See that? Tangent alpha plus tangent beta. What do I got downstairs? 1 minus, what's this? Nothing cancels, but I have tan alpha times tan beta. See that in there? So this is tan alpha, tan beta. All right, so now you got everything you need. Well, what if this is a minus sign here? Well, then these are minuses. This is going to be a minus, and this will be a plus.